Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Richard and welcome back to the weekly Watchlist video sponsored by Marketsmith. As usual, we'll go through both the fundamentals of all the stocks on my focus list, as well as talk about the technical setups that I plan to use for each of these choices. And if you enjoy my analysis, please go ahead and leave a like down below. I'd really appreciate it. It really does help out my channel. And subscribe if you are new and looking forward to more videos just like this one. And before we dive in, remember to submit your pick for this week's stock picking contest following the rules on screen right now. There will be prizes at the end of the 10 weeks, including trading books, as well as gift cards. So with that said, let's dive into the video and start with our first stock, Bill.com. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see strong revenue growth. Last quarter's sales were up 46%, although after-tax margins were down 7.1%. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next 2 years. The overall EPS rating is a very poor 3, the group RS is a B, SMR rating is a C, accumulation distribution is an A-, and the overall composite rating is a 67. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, and you have 4 high-quality funds investing in this company. And taking a look at the chart, you can see the RS line is going the wrong way as it's basing and forming this handle right here. The overall rating is a strong 97, and look for this to break out through the pivot point of 94.79. And as for the setup that I plan to use, I'm looking for a bounce off the 50-day moving average on above average volume. And as you can see, it did bounce off a couple times before, and right now it's pulling back on lower than average volume. And if it does bounce off this moving average, I do want to see, as it's moving up, volume increase at least above these bars right here. So that's my plan for Bill. And next up, we've got Coupa Software, ticker symbol COUP. And looking at the earnings and sales, you can see very strong growth here. Last quarter earnings were up 567%, sales up 47%, and after-tax margins up 12.1%, and very strong growth overall. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see in 2021, it's supposed to take a hit, but it's supposed to bounce right back up in 2022. And overall, the EPS rating is a 77, the group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 99. Looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend over the past 2 years, and you have 7 high-quality funds investing in this company. And taking a look at the chart, you can see the RS line is basing at the moment. The overall rating is a strong 96, and it has moved up strongly since this stage 1 base. So it could form another base right here in this consolidation period, and that would be bullish because it is still early stage. If it breaks out once again, I will look to buy shares. And as for the specific buy point that I'm looking to use, I do want to see a bounce off the 21 EMA on above average volume, potentially a green dot or short-term stochastic cross. And I want to make sure that on this move up, it's on higher than average volume and hopefully above this bar right here. So that is Coop, and next on the list, we've got DocuSign. This has been one of the strongest stocks in this bull market, and overall looking at its earnings and sales, you can see that this is the driving factor with a lot of growth here. Last quarter earnings were up 71%, sales up 39%, and after-tax margins up 8.1%. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see it's supposed to be profitable in 2021 and 2022 with big increases, although the revisions are down at this moment. The overall EPS rating is an 84, the group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is a B, accumulation distribution is an A+, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, almost quadrupling over the past 2 years, and you have 6 high-quality funds investing in this company. And along with Coop, you can see that it's gone quite far since its stage 1 base and needs some consolidation. And this could be it right here. It could be basing at this moment. And you can see it's holding that 21 EMA. I want to see it bounce off that line and move up once again on above average volume. And overall, the RS line is also basing at this point, but the overall RS rating is a very strong 98. And as for the entry point that I plan to use, as I said, I want to see it bounce off this 21 EMA on above average volume. You can see that as it's been pulling back, it has been on below average volume, which is a positive and should be buyable if it bounces on higher volume than this. Next up on the list, we've got Futu Holdings, and taking a look at its earnings and sales, you can see quite substantial growth here. Last quarter earnings were up 220%, sales up 110%, and after-tax margins up 32.7%. And looking at the annual estimates, you can see very strong growth in 2020, up 178%, and a further 57% in 2021. The EPS rating is a 62, the group RS is an A-, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is an A+, and the overall composite rating is a 98. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see it has been decreasing, and there's not a whole lot of funds in this stock at this moment. You've got no high quality funds in here as well. And looking at the chart, you can see it's moved up quite strongly from the stage 1 cup. And overall, the RS rating is a strong 98, and the RS line is basing at the moment, but moving up recently. And as for the entry setup that I plan to use for the stock, it did have a short-term stochastic cross last Friday, so if it continues to act well early next week, it is viable based on that setup. And overall, the Bollinger Bands are squeezing at this point, and on this move up, it was on higher volume, and you can see nice accumulation the past few weeks. And overall, looking at the up-down volume, you've got a ratio of 1.86, which suggests big accumulation by institutions. So this is a good sign, and that is my plan for this stock. Next on my list, we've got GSX, a recent IPO, and taking a look at the earnings and sales, you can see very impressive numbers. Earnings were up 450% last quarter, sales up 357%, and after-tax margins up 14.7%. And I know what a lot of you are going to say, there have been rumors that these numbers are fake, but I trust that the institutions investing in this company have done their due diligence, and they can investigate a company way better than any of us can. And overall, you've got good funds in here, one high-quality fund, and the stock price really is speaking for itself. And overall, looking at the annual estimates, you can see in 2020, it's supposed to grow 144% and almost double once again in 2021 for quite substantial growth. And overall, the EPS rating is at 84, the group RS is an A, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a very strong 98. And as we talked about, you've got increasing fund ownership and one high quality fund in this stock. Taking a look at the chart, you can see the RS line is basing at this moment. The RS rating is a very strong 99, and overall it's moved up well from the stage 3 base. And as for the entry setup, I do want to see it move up above this line of resistance at 88.96 and eventually break out into new all-time highs at 92. And it would also be actionable if it has a short-term stochastic cross or green dot early next week. So that's GSX, and next up we've got LULU. And looking at the earnings and sales numbers, as we talked about last week, you can see it did take a hit last quarter, but overall you can see it's supposed to bounce back in 2022 of 49%. And overall the EPS rating is at 82, the group RS is a C+, the SMR rating is a B, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is an 89. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, and you've got 4 high quality funds investing in this company. And taking a look at the chart, you can see that the RS line and price is basing at this moment. The overall RS rating is a very strong 92, and right now it's right at the pivot of the stage 1 flat base. So it's well poised for an entry. And as for the entry setup, I do want to see a breakout on above average volume above the 330 level. So that is LULU, and next up we've got NVDA. And taking a look at the earnings and sales, you can see very strong growth. Last quarter earnings were up 105%, sales up 39%, and after-tax margins up 36.4%. And looking at the annual EPS numbers, you can see that there's supposed to be 41% growth in 2021 and a further 21% in 2022. The overall EPS rating is a very strong 99, the group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B-, the overall composite rating is a 99. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, and you have 6 high-quality funds investing in this company. Taking a look at the chart, you can see a short-term consolidation right here, as the RS line is basing as well, and the overall rating is a 95. And as for the entry setup that I plan to use, I want to see a bounce off this 21 EMA on above average volume, and I like that the volume was higher on this Friday than the pullback on Thursday, which is a good sign. And overall, I want to see a break above the short-term resistance at 424, and eventually a breakout into new all-time highs at 431.69. So that is NVIDIA, and next up we've got ONAM. And this is another recent IPO, which is forming a stage 2 cup at the moment and pulling back to its 50-day moving average. And looking at its earnings and sales, you can see it's not yet profitable, but it does have nice revenue growth at about 25, 30, 40%. And looking at the annual EPS numbers, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next few years. The overall EPS rating is a 6, the group RS is a B-, the SMR rating is not available, accumulation distribution is a B, and the overall composite rating is a 51. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, and you have 2 high-quality funds investing in this company. And looking at the chart once again, you can see it's in a stage 2 cup at this moment. The RS line is going the wrong way, but the overall rating is a decent 93. And as for the entry setup that I plan to use, I want to see definitive follow through on this bounce off the 50-day moving average. I want to see it move up on above average volume, potentially forming a green dot entry. So that is ONAM, and next up we've got SDGR. Taking a look at the earnings and sales for SDGR, you can see decent revenue growth, although it's not yet profitable. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next 2 years, but it is getting there in 2021. The EPS rating is a 6, the group RS is an A, the SMR rating is not available, accumulation distribution is a C-, the overall composite rating is a 61. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, and you do have one high quality fund investing in this company. Looking at the chart, you can see the RS line is going the wrong direction as it's basing. You can see that it didn't quite manage to break above this 100 level, which is a key Livermore level. And overall, I do want to see it turn up after this bounce off the 50-day moving average. And overall, the RS rating is a decent 97. And as for the entry set that I plan to use, I want to see a definitive bounce on volume up from this 50-day moving average and potentially a green dot setup as well. Next up on the list, we've got C Limited, a former stock of the week. And overall, looking at its earnings and sales, you can see it's not yet profitable, but it does have very strong revenue growth the past few quarters. And looking at its annual EPS, you can see it's not supposed to be profitable within the next few years. The EPS rating is a 45, the group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is a D, accumulation distribution is a B-, the overall composite rating is an 89. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend. You do have one high quality fund investing in this company. And taking a look at the chart, you can see it's had a very strong run so far in this bull market. The overall RS rating is a 98. The RS line is basing at the moment along with price. And as for the entry setup that I plan to use, I do want to see a green dot indicator early next week on above average volume higher than this drop on Friday. So that's my plan for SE. And next up, we've got the trade desk. Taking a look at TTD's earnings and sales, you can see very strong growth here. Last quarter earnings were up 84%, sales up 33%, and after-tax margins up 27%. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see it is supposed to take a hit in 2020, but it's supposed to bounce right back up in 2021. The EPS rating is a 99, the group RS is an A, SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And looking at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend. You have a whole bunch of high-quality funds investing in this stock. And looking at the chart, you can see overall, its RS line is basing at the moment along with price, as it's barely holding on to the 21 EMA right here, and the overall RS rating is a very strong 95. And looking at the entry setup that I plan to use, it did have a Bollinger Band bounce on this past Friday, so if it acts well early next week and moves up on above average volume, that would be the entry setup that I plan to use. And overall, you can see that there's resistance at about the 461 level and also at all-time highs at 475.67. So that is TTD, and next up we've got Zoom. And so far you can see that this has been one of the monster stocks of this bull market, and overall looking at the earnings and sales, you can see why. I mean, this is very strong growth. Last quarter earnings were up 567%, sales up 169%, and after-tax margins up as well. And in 2021, it's supposed to increase a further 269%, and in 2022, a further 22%, so there's a lot of growth expected. The overall EPS rating is an 84, the group RS is an A+, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, the overall composite rating is a 99. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a big jump in funds the past few quarters, and overall you've got two high quality funds in there as well. And taking a look at the chart, you can see that the RS line is basing at the moment, and overall the RS rating is a very strong 98. And as for the entry setup that I plan to use, I want to see a green dot or other dot entry early next week. I want to see it move up on above average volume, or at least higher than these bars right here. So that's my plan for Zoom. And lastly, we've got ZS. And overall, looking at the earnings and sales, you can see decent growth. Last quarter earnings and sales were up 40%, and after-tax margins were up 8.2%. And looking at the annual EPS, you can see it is supposed to take a hit in 2020, but it's supposed to bounce back nicely in 2021. The overall EPS rating is a 49, the group RS is an A, SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, the overall composite rating is a 95. And taking a look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice increasing trend, and you have two high-quality funds investing in this company. And overall, the RS line is staying strong here, and the overall rating is a 97, and I really like this huge gap up on volume. And as for the entry set that I plan to use, I want to see a green dot entry early next week as it bounces off this 21 EMA, and eventually I want to break out into new all-time highs above the 129.30 level. So overall, that is my plan for ZS, and this is one of my top 3 setups, along with FUTU and also NVDA. If you enjoyed my analysis, please go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos.